Hello everyone, Kim Victoria here. Today's video, I'm going to share with you a free PDF that you can get from my Ko-Fi shop. And this is an example of it right here. And what I want to do today is I want to share with you where the idea came from, how I developed it, and how you can adapt it for your own uses and a few ideas to go with it. So let's get started. So first of all, I saw this idea on Kerry Griffith's YouTube channel, and I'll put his link down below. He was making these cute little stacked squares, and they were different colors, and they're just something that he's adding as an embellishment to some of his journals and things like that. And so I thought, well, that would be fun. So I made these three, just drawing them freehand, and that was fine. But then I thought, well, I think it would be faster if I had a template. So I made a template with cardboard. So then I made a few, and I realized, oh, the only problem is it's opaque. So I can't see through it to be able to line things up very well. So I went, well, I'm going to make a transparent one. So I keep some acrylic sheets from packaging. And let's see, what did I do? I think I put them away. But you get this kind of stiff acrylic with packaging of different kinds. So I have a little collection that I've saved for myself. So I pulled out a piece and just marked it with a Sharpie marker. Now, this worked great. So I was having fun making all these, and it occurred to me that maybe some of you would have fun with this too. You could see in this one, I made the squares and then I rotated a little bit and made a second square, so that created a different effect. So I was starting to play, and then making like a little picture frame and, different things. So when I decided I would make one that I could share with all of you, I went, okay, time to make a template we all can use. So let's get that out of the way. And that's when I came up with this. Now this one I printed on transparency. So really quick, this is an option for you. These I got at thrift stores because schools aren't using these anymore. The technology has changed, but these are still useful. And as it turns out, I do have a laser printer and an inkjet printer. These are for copiers or laser printers only. And they both work in my printer, so that was kind of nice. I've been using these for other things, but then this came up, so why not? But you could see how thin this is. This is very flexible, whereas the one that I made on a packaging is very firm. It's resilient. Okay, so this is certainly an option. Just to use a transparency film. It's an acrylic sheet. This is stiffer. So what I wanted to demonstrate for you was making your own, and I printed this one out on cardstock, which you could use cardstock. You don't have to have an acrylic. You don't have to have transparency. And the other thing I just wanted to share really quick is that sometimes you're able to find these kinds of templates in thrift stores or in yard sales. So this was an estate sale, and I scored a whole lot of drafting type supplies from an architect that had passed away. So that was very nice. But for me, and apparently he had a glowing career. It was amazing to see some of the things that he had done. But this particular one is kind of a landscaping graph, and it has one rectangle and one square and some other fun shapes. And then this one has graduated squares, so those can be very handy, but there's no large ones and there's no postage stamp rectangles. So while I liked having some squares, I also was thinking, well, wouldn't we all like to have a template for postage stamps? And that's what these are. This one also is a domino shape, the 1 by 2 inch. So yeah, so I measured my postage stamps. And American postage stamps, United States postage stamps, have become standardized. But a lot of other countries are still making different shapes, and you might have some older ones. So it's fun to have these, and it's just fun to have them, right? So, yeah, so there's that, which can be cut out with scissors. But the heavier acrylic, you need to use, you can use scissors, but a craft knife a craft knife is very helpful. So I didn't want to make this a very long video. So let's get to it. So here I have a small piece of packaging, and you can see I just tore it off the cardboard backing. And this is also a piece, but I thought, oh, how can we make this easy? Because this piece, if you put it on here, it's easy for it to slide around. But these little frames are going to get cut out. So I thought, why not glue the acrylic to the cardstock just inside the frame? So I'd set this up, and I used Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. You could use art glitter glue. So you just need a strong glue that's going to adhere plastic to the cardstock. So maybe you can kind of see where the glue is in there. Now you don't have to do this with a craft knife, but if you do, make sure you've got a nice fresh point on it. It's nice and sharp. A metal ruler, craft knife work great. I also originally cut this one out with just my scissors. Okay, so let's do both so that it's very, very clear. So I've got my cutting board, and actually, it is easier if you cut seeing where your other lines are. I hope that makes sense. So I want to be able to see where to stop and where to end. So if I put the ruler on this side of the rectangle, it's much easier to see. And just apply some good steady pressure. Now when I made this template, I added some lines on the side. Let me get closer there. So that it would, I was kind of giving myself my own margin because I want this to be suitable for both the A2 American letter size and the A4. And so this should work for you that are wanting the A4 size. And I would really appreciate it if you would let me know if it will go through your printer as an A4 size, because I gave it really wide margins to allow for the different size. Okay, so let me know in the comments when you go to Ko-Fi and you download it. Please let me know if it works. If it doesn't, I'll just make another version of the template specifically for A4. So this piece of plastic didn't move at all because I had glued the square onto the cardstock. So let's see if it went through all the way. Okay, didn't quite go through the cardstock all the way. So let's see where it's stuck. Those corners are always the problem. Okay, I got it out. I just like to be very, very cautious and take my time. The nice thing about this is what you want to make sure you get is these nice sharp corners if that's what you want. It's okay if it's a little raggy if we want it to just use it for a grungy kind of look. But this is really neat, and you can use this template with acrylic paint as well as a pen and ink and that sort of thing. So yes, that's one way of doing it. Now, the other way of doing it is to have some nice sharp scissors And it takes a little doing to get it started. Once you get that kind of that diagonal cut going. Now this is nice thick plastic, so it can be a little bit of a challenge. But if you don't want to do the knife and the ruler, you certainly can do this with nice sharp scissors. And it's the first direction is always the most challenging. And I like to cut into the corners. Okay, so that works too. Now, if you want to just cut your template out with cardstock, you can coat it with like some matte medium, maybe even Mod Podge. You want to go easy on it because you don't want to warp your cardstock too much. But this cardstock happens to be cardstock that will go through my laser printer. And some cardstock will, it's just like the transparencies, it just depends. If it's made for your printer, then it works. So this cardstock isn't super thick, it will go through the printer. And this worked great, putting the glue just inside the rectangle. That worked fantastic. So I can do the rest of this. But you can use just cardstock for your template, absolutely. And the other thing you could do is maybe you just want a little row of squares, well, in whatever size you want, and just go ahead and make a row on cardstock that just, then you can just cut out a row of these different sizes if you like. So I want to keep this video short. So there is the template. It's on my Ko-Fi shop. And these were some of the starter kinds of play I did with some watercolor markers. And then I started doing some other things. So it's like rubber stamping inside of these shapes and making kind of like little postage stamps. And there's a little frame. And here we have a butterfly. And so I could stamp it first and then find the postage stamp that fits on it the best, the rectangle, and just use a pencil. And you can tear it, of course. I don't have the postage stamp kind of edge scissors. Oh, but I do have the pinking shears. And so if I cut outside that line, I can get that illusion, the illusion of a postage stamp. But if you have postage stamp scissors, you can get a really nice effect. And then just erase that pencil line. And so, yeah. So it's really kind of nice. And if you want to find an image in a bigger image that you want to make into a postage stamp background to stamp on, you get the idea, right? This is, it just happens to be something I kind of like templates. I do like templates, and they're fun to work with. And I can get a lot of variety. So I'm going to be making the rest of my templates. I have this one, but after I did all the postage stamp sizes, I went, okay, this is really handy. And I'll have fun with it, making embellishments and different things using these templates. And I hope that you find them handy too. So this is available on my Ko-Fi. And everything's in the description box. And if you want to go see what Cary Griffiths does, I will link to his video where he's using these little strips and to his channel. And I know that I'm going to be having fun with this, but I wanted to go ahead and get this video out and sent to you so that you could have fun with it too. And yeah, I have just begun experimenting with it. So I hope that helps you. I hope you have fun with it. Thank you so much for watching. And this is, I'm calling this Quick Art Tips in the playlist. It's not that the videos themselves are quick, but they're art tips that make our life quicker. At least I hope so. That's my intention. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for being here. Bye. Bye for now.